Hello guys, and welcome back to Disney Elves. Today's video was actually suggested for me to do on my Instagram at Disney Elves, if you want to go and follow me. Somebody said that they wanted to see me rate stuff, so out of 10 or out of 5 or whatever. So I thought I would start by rating Pixar films. So I got my Pizza Planet t-shirt out, and yeah, let's get into it. Now, just a little disclaimer, these are completely just my opinions. I'm rating the films out of 10. I'll start from the least points and go like higher. What I want to say is I always change my mind, especially with the top bracket. It took me so long to make this list of scores because it's really difficult, and then when you think about one and you're like, oh, but I preferred that one, so you have to give that one more of a score. So I love all Pixar films. This is just how I feel today. So it will probably change. I'll probably look back on this in a week and be like, I was mental for giving that one a low score and that one a higher score. But anyway, let's do this. So the first one is the lowest score, which is a 4. So nothing was below a 4 for me. The 4s were Cars 1, Cars 2, and Cars 3. I have never been a fan of Cars. I think it's a very kind of like boy orientated DVD, like a kind of young boy. The reason why it has such a low score for me is because I don't like the franchise itself. I think the idea of cars talking, I kind of feel like it's a bit predictable for Pixar, but that's just me. I still enjoy the films, don't get me wrong. I liked Cars 3 quite a lot, but not enough to give it a higher score, I'm afraid. Okay, next. If they're in the same like score bracket, it means that I liked them pretty much exactly the same. There's barely anything in it. So the next bracket is 6. For me, Brave was a 6 because even though I enjoyed it, the first time I watched it, I didn't really enjoy Brave that much. I found it just a bit like, I don't know, like kind of nothing much happened to me. Didn't take me on much of a journey compared to some of the other films. This is the thing, I'm comparing Pixar to themselves. It's difficult because you have to kind of like scrutinize when really you just love them all. So yeah, for me, Brave missed the mark when I first watched it. I started loving it more and more. Every single time I watch it, I enjoy it that bit more, but for me, it still kind of lingers around a 6. Next up, another 6 is The Incredibles. Now, the reason for this really is because I never really loved The Incredibles when I was little, just because it was one that I didn't watch as much. So now, watching it when I'm a bit older, I just feel like it's a bit, I don't know, I just don't enjoy it as much as the others. Some of the animation looks like aged now, but so I feel like it was harder for me to connect to in that way because I didn't have the affinity with it because I didn't watch it much when I was little, if that makes sense. I still haven't watched Incredibles 2, so I'm holding out for that. But like I say, I still really enjoyed the film. It's just not as much as some of me bays coming up. We got some high scorers on the way. Okay, so in the 7 bracket is Up. Purely because I adore the first bit, I adore the whole like concept, the idea, but as a film, if I have to choose which one to put on, it's not often one that I choose, purely because it starts so sad. So as much as I love it, it's gotta be a lower score because I don't watch it as much. Also a 7 is WALL-E, only because I mean, WALL-E is a 7 because I really enjoy it, I love the concept, but it's not as much of a journey for me. I don't often like, you know, like really cry or really laugh or really like feel something. I feel like WALL-E is more of an education, which I like, but it serves a different purpose to what I want a film to be from Pixar, if that makes any sense. Like if I put on a Pixar film, I want to pick me up. I don't want to be reminded of how awful human beings are. So that's the only reason, but I love that it serves that purpose. In the Pixar world, I love it, but as a film, it's only a 7 for me. Next one is Bug's Life. Now, this is a 7 purely because it's just a bit older. It was one of their first films. It feels older to me, I think. It used to scare me a little bit as a kid because the grasshoppers, I found them really creepy. But I still think it's a great film, and 7 is a pretty damn good score if you ask me. Next is Monsters University, is also a 7. This is because I didn't enjoy it as much as Monsters Inc. because I felt like it... Basically, I don't love films that are something to do with a like competition or like a race or like anything like that. That's why I didn't really like Cars, because you feel like it's a bit predictable, or it kind of drags a bit because you know there are going to be 3 rounds, so you kind of get ready to do those 3 rounds with the characters. I don't know, this is just me. So I felt like that was a bit not my cup of tea. But what I do love about Monster University is all of the bits that you see, like Randall taking off his glasses, and then that's where the squint comes from. You understand their background completely. You realise that they started in the mailroom, which is hilarious because obviously when they meet the abominable snowman later, he says that he was from the mailroom, stuff like that. So I love certain things about Monster University, but as a whole film, it's only a 7 for me. The next one is The Good Dinosaur. Now, I gave The Good Dinosaur a 7.5 because I love The Good Dinosaur. I think I can understand why it's not some people's favourites, because I just think it's kind of, it feels short, sweet and beautiful is how I would describe The Good Dinosaur. It really makes me cry, like, and that's kind of why I gave it a good score as well, because it really hit me somewhere. And even though there's not much really talking, and I love how they spun it so it's the dinosaurs that talk, yeah, so basically I love it because it's so emotional, and I was a mess and always am a mess when I watch that film. So yeah, The Good Dinosaur, 7.5. The next one is Inside Out. I gave Inside Out a 7.5. It would have been higher, but I don't watch it much because the bit with Bing Bong ruined my life. I really wanted them to bring Bing Bong back at the end, because I thought what was going to happen was one of her parents was going to remind her of Bing Bong, and like, you know, they'd be sat around the table at the end and they would say, oh, do you remember your imaginary friend Bing Bong? Look at this drawing we kept all your life, kind of thing. And then that would spark something in her like long-term memory that would bring that memory back, so he would come back. So I'm sad that didn't happen because I really love Bing Bong. So yeah, that's the reason it's a little bit lower than perhaps it should be, because I really wanted him to come back, because I feel like that was too sad. Also in Inside Out, I feel like they tried to do things that were a bit too clever and like unnecessary. Like the bit where they go through there's like a bit where they go through a tunnel thing, and it changes the style of animation, and it goes into this weird like kind of Picasso looking animation, which I understand why they did, but I kind of felt like it didn't add much to the story. It just felt like they were showing off their animation techniques, which of course they're allowed to do, but I just thought like it was a bit unnecessary. So, but I do love Inside Out, and it makes me laugh so much, and laugh and cry and emotions. So yeah, 7.5. Next up is Ratatouille. I gave Ratatouille an 8, which some people may think is quite high, but I personally think it is deserving, because they made me love rats. Like, you know, that's a difficult thing to do. And I just love Remy. I love the whole concept. I think it's really clever. I think it's funny. I would describe Ratatouille as a relaxing, joyful film, and I like that. So that deserves an 8. Another film that scored an 8 was Monsters Inc. Now, I absolutely adore Monsters Inc. I think it is so creative. It's a completely new concept. Like, in terms of the world that they managed to create, like, I know monsters, you know, in the cupboard isn't necessarily like new, but what they did with it and how they made it so that the like humans were like toxic and stuff like that, like I just think it's just so great, and I find it really funny. I think the design of it all is really pleasing, especially Sully and his fur. Like, I just want to squish him. So basically I love Monsters Inc., so that's an 8. Next up is Finding Dory. I gave Finding Dory an 8.5. This is because I love this film. One thing that Pixar do amazingly is they are really good at adding new characters and making you love them instantly. Like Hank, for example. I think it's really actually difficult to do a sequel or a prequel or whatever and introduce new characters and make everyone love them. But I love them all. Bailey, Destiny, Charlie and Jenny, like, I just think they got them so spot on. They added enough from the old films that you felt like it had that authenticity to it, but so much new stuff. I loved that in the trailers, nothing was given away. I had no idea she was going to be from an aquarium at all. And I just loved the spin on it. I just had no idea that that was going to happen. And I thought it was really clever, really great. And it had the authentic factor that Finding Nemo had. The music was great. The step up from animation was really impressive. But it didn't feel like too much. It didn't feel like the old one was older. Thank you very much. So yeah, Finding Dory 8.5. And that was only so I could give Finding Nemo a 9, because I feel like they're so close, but Finding Nemo I have lived with more in my life and have more of an affinity with, and I just love that film. I think it has the best opening of like probably any of the films. The opening is so beautiful because there's enough like drama and panic and sadness, and then it flips and that beautiful like piano music comes on, and oh, the titles come on the screen, and it's just amazing. And I think the film is so creative and brilliant, and I just love it. All of the characters are fab. I just think it's beautiful. So Finding Nemo is the 9. Another 9 though, I almost gave this a couple of notches more, like a 9.2 or something. I'm kind of like, okay, let's say it's 9.1. 9.1 is Coco. I adored Coco for the first, I mean, I've done a review of Coco on my channel if you want to go and see in more depth, but for the first few minutes of Coco, I really wasn't sure I was going to like it. I just didn't know what was going on. It felt like a lot of information to get you into the kind of world of it, if that makes sense. And I wasn't sure if I would like it because it's real world kind of stuff. Whereas usually, you know, it's a fake world, like Nemo's under the sea and Monsters Inc. behind the cupboard. If that makes sense. Whereas this is like a real thing that people believe and live. So I wasn't sure. But I ended up absolutely loving it. I think the music is great for the first kind of like Pixar musical proper thing. I thought it was amazing. I love that they chose to do it where it was appropriate. It's a film about music, so of course they had to have music. They didn't just do it for the sake of it because, you know, that's the Disney form, I guess. The colours, the animation, everything about it was beautiful. So yeah, a 9.1 for Coco. And then we come to the Toy Stories. I gave Toy Story 1 a 9.5, Toy Story 2 a 9.8, and Toy Story 3 is my only 10 ever. This is why I'm so excited to see Toy Story 4, to see where it's going to end up in between it all. So yeah, what I'd say is Toy Story 1 I love, but the animation is a bit outdated these days, and when I watch it, I miss Jessie and that lot. Like the others, I feel like it's weird that they're not in the first one. So yeah, that's why that one's the least favourite of mine, because I love them as characters. And then Toy Story 2 is a 9.8 because it is really, really close to Toy Story 3. Because yeah, I love the characters, I love the story, I love that it's like collectible toys, like, hello, collectible toys! Yeah, so I just think that's just such a beautiful film. Once again, the great implication of new, like, they're just so great at bringing in new characters and making you love them. So yeah, Jessie, Bullseye, all of that. Brilliant. And then Toy Story 3, I think is just the perfect third to it all. It ties it all up, and it's the start of a new thing too, like, oh, and it's emotional, it's funny. All of the new characters once again are amazing. I love Buttercup and Prickle Pants and all that. So yeah, Toy Story 3 cannot be beaten in my mind. So guys, make sure that you rate all of yours down below. Let me know what you think about each thing and my scores and opinions on it, you know. Let's have a discussion down below. Please give it a like if you liked it. Let me know what else you'd like me to rate. Leave me a comment. Please subscribe if you want to. I post new videos every Friday at 6 PM. I also post on Instagram daily at DisneyElves. Mine and Nikon's debut EP, Devil's Game, is already out. By the time you're watching this, it's out. It's in the ether. It came out on the 31st of August, and I would love if you would go and give it a listen. It'll be on all the digital stores. If you want to buy it, buy it. If you want to stream it a million times so that we can earn that penny. Yeah, I really appreciate if you'd go and give us some love. Music is my dream, thank you. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ellie and Nikon, if you want to as well. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.